That's how you know why this video got so much traction, why so many women resonate with it, because you are in fact engaging with these sexually undisciplined men.
The reason so many women engage with your content because you're trauma bonding with other women that have not healed because you're broken just as they are.
Who have been raised by women. Is that how you know? An entire fucking video. That shit was 10 minutes, bro. I know you didn't watch the whole fucking 10 minutes. You couldn't have, because I literally said men can't hear me, but oh well. And then you say that those men are coddled into victimhood. You literally, stepdaddy. I mean, oh God, y'all literally just exist to exhaust people. Like your entire existence is exhausting. I just woke up. And like I want to go back to sleep.
7 minutes
in. Go back to sleep. I got shit I need to do. But literally, like the only escape is the dream world. Because I don't dream about y'all. And honestly, if I do be fighting, because that's accurate. My dreams are more accurate than my reality. The only way you would know if you were sleeping with those men. And even if you thought you knew, you still don't know. Like I don't fucking feel like it. I'm not addressing this because this shit is so fucking stupid and so goddamn exhausting. You know who else doesn't care if they're wanted in a space?
She's not addressing it.
You know who else has oppressed an entire demographic of people? By going out of their way to oppress them and consume them and everything they are and everything they produce.
8 minutes.
And then when the oppressed demographic tries to exit stage left and create a space for themselves of healing and prosperity, the oppressor doesn't care that they're not wanted in that space. They come into that space and tell people that they're experiencing their experience wrong. And that I'm going to tell you how to experience your experience. You know who else does that? What was Tulsa? What was Wilmington? Lake Lanier. What was that? Because I'm pretty sure that was this. See, this is why y'all end up being the weakest link. Our men. That's why y'all end up being the weakest link. Not because you're not capable.
She said our men, right? Now, I know we're about almost 9 minutes into word salad, but she just said that men don't value anything. She just had a whole rant about men not valuing anything. So now we've got 9 minutes of word salad, ad hominem attacks, and still nothing to validate what she's saying, other than the fact that I gave a definition and described a behavior. These are the people that are radicalizing the emotionally broken folks out there. They're not providing any solutions. This is a problematic mindset. Let's go.
Capable of better. You are. But because you want to take the easiest path, because you're so busy trying to know that you literally can't learn.
Interesting.
Y'all end up being the weakest fucking link.
The weakest link is described by the definition that I used in the context, which still fits the sexually undisciplined man. Who I always said, the men that are sexually undisciplined are usually the useless men.
Because you literally.
I actually dignified her previous statement. I understand why the anger would be attached to all of the emotion that she had. But when I put a definition around it to help the men that would read this and see her and be emboldened to respond in a negative way, I actually contributed what I think would be a useful definition, because rage is useful. She can be angry, but we need better definitions so that we can have better communication. That's the problem. Most people don't believe that a definition is necessary before we start talking. So I chose to comment there with a definition, because all of those characteristics are undesirable characteristics that fit the behavior.
Have just been the fucking clone of the oppressor, of our original oppressor. You're just a clone of the original oppressor.
What's so funny is everything that she's saying is the projection. It's the projection, because she's talking crazy about men. Is that not what the oppressor does? I never said anything to demean or degrade her as a woman.
So women can't raise sons properly, but men can.
Yeah.
But where are the men then? Why?
The men that she's asking about are part of a cycle of fatherless men. The entire demographic of people that reproduces this same type of man comes from the same tree. Okay? Doesn't matter how you look at it. You know, because despite the dramatic tactics, she still didn't provide anything to refute the point made in the comment. There was no solution provided, just body language. And we want to overdiagnose these symptoms of the issue instead of talking about the cures that deal with the source. The source of the conflict is a lack of respect for men by women that were not raised with fathers in their homes. You know, so what's the solution? Leave it in the comments, you know, and you can't refute the point. We know where these men are. These men are either locked up or never had an intention of being fathers in the first place in most cases. So, which demographic of men fit this behavior? Do you think that comes more from the two-parent home or the single-parent home structure? So, until we're ready to deal with that part, just saying, well, where are the fathers is not a good enough response. There has to be some data with this, okay? And we know single fatherhood is at a very low rate. I've done countless videos and content about this. Single fathers in the Black community make up 29% of the population. And single fathers in the white community make up 71% of the population. Within men all across the board. So, and within the Black community, the majority of fathers are in their kids' lives when they have children in wedlock. The children made out of wedlock are all produced by men and women that are likely born out of wedlock themselves, just like their parents.
Why are women having to do that on their own? And we go back to it. Y'all consume shit, take a shit, and walk off. Stepdaddy. Fuck, y'all are exhausting.
So, what have we learned here? Like the emotional discipline necessary. The emotional discipline that's necessary to build communities and relationships and healthy communication and effective communication has to start with first not demeaning one another. It has first to start with being honest and intentional about what we want to be understood. But you cannot do that on the premise of an insult. And I don't care who don't like it. So with that being said, I'm glad you guys stayed to the end. And always remember that low-level learners are reproducing with low-level learners and reproducing more low-level learners. I think that men and women need to take the advice that they would tell their children when they're having a logical thought process as it pertains to pregnancy. Come on. Men and women raised by women have this problem the most. It's her body, her choice, his wallet, his voice. And men marry behavior. We marry behavior. Okay. So all things being considered in good faith and based on emotional discipline, what are you going to do to improve communication between man and woman? What are you going to do? See, in this situation, I could have been back and forth, and the comments on that was ridiculous too. They were pretty much roasting everything that I said, and it was funny because I know that it was coming from an emotional place. And I never dismissed the emotion involved because emotions are valid. They are, but they don't solve problems though. And it doesn't matter how you feel about it. You could be upset. It's not going to change the world. Your emotions have to be used appropriately. They have to be. Because they're not useful. Like, what advice would you give your own kids? That's why I always say, take the advice that you would give your children, because they deserve to see you at your best. They do. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull up the comments before I end this. I think it's only fair that you guys see the comments, so you know that I'm not playing about what I'm discussing. So, as you can see, you see the original comment right here? Everybody see that? Boom. Now, let's look at how everybody responded. That's a damn lie. What'd you say? Use a black ass lie. The lies come so easily. A lie don't care who tell it. And it's like 145 of these, right? In less than a day. In less than a day. And it's hilarious to me because I said something that was very neutral. And I wanted to show you how hard it is to create better dialogue, because there's no way to break into the conversation or have a teachable moment without first being offensive. And even if you come with the best amount of logic, it's going to always amount to some level of offense. And I said to a couple of people, I said, this assessment says more about the type of men that you attract and give attention to. You are what you give your body to. You cannot be with somebody that has greater self-esteem than you. I don't care who don't like it. So you see the comments. I'm just going to scroll and I'll pick out some we went as we go along. And no matter what type of facts you present, they care more about the emotional outbursts. They care more about the emotion. So everybody says maybe the father should stick around, and I stand on my business. I'm like, hey, the worst men are raised by the worst women. Women produce with men that reflect their self-esteem, her body, her choice. Fatherless people reproduce with each other the most because they relate to one another. No matter how you slice it, the fathers that lack parental integrity, they're at fault. But this is the risk of women reproducing with men that were raised by unmarried women. And now we get the anecdotals. Both of my sons' fathers had their mother and father, so I can't agree with that. But I feel you. A healed person, no matter where they came from. I did have some partial agreement. I was like, it was only for the people that fit the behavior. The people that can't think critically are busy being triggered. So Be mindful of what you're trying to communicate to the world, especially in this social media space. People are going to have their opinions. They are going to almost always communicate through emotion. And the best you could do is just stand on business, because if it's done from a righteous point of view, that's all that matters. And with that being said, I will see you beyond the algorithm. All right, folks. Appreciate you sticking with me to the end. This has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go get the book. And most importantly, I will see you beyond the algorithm, because that's where life actually happens. Later.